Escape from Naraka is a first-person platformer designed around being a hellish challenge, with each new level having new enemies and obstacles to overcome. Thanks to the Xelo Games team for giving me a key for this review, and keep an ear out at the end of the video as I'll be doing a giveaway for a few keys courtesy of Xelo Games. Before getting into the video, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and like, dislike and comment with any thoughts about the game or feedback for me. It would help out a lot. So this game is actually fairly straightforward to break down, as it's a simple concept, which is always nice as you can get into the details without it getting confusing as to what the game actually is. It's a first-person platformer where you, the protagonist, have had your partner/wife taken by a demon named Rangda. You have to platform your way through Naraka and attempt to get it back. It's not a flashy story, but it is pretty interesting as a setting and concept, as Naraka is the Indian religion's version of hell. So rather than your traditional Western pit of fire with some demons, you get some pretty interesting ancient Indonesian style architecture and atmosphere, as well as some pretty scary looking enemies, which is why some people might confuse this for a horror game. Another reason for this is probably as some of the assets for the game come from 3D scans of real-life Indonesian statues of various beings. I thought this was a really cool way of making it look realistic. When you aren't running around like a madman trying to escape hell and stop and look around, the atmosphere in the game is really cool, and to a Western audience will be miles away from what we might expect in a platforming game. I wouldn't usually spend so long on just the atmosphere, but I think Escape from Naraka gets atmosphere down very well, mainly because it seems to use real-life inspiration to make its own version of hell, rather than making something westernized and grotesque just to make it over the top to be scary. For those of you that are interested in the ray tracing side of things, I will give you a few side-by-sides of a few areas to show you how the ray tracing affects the lighting and reflections in the game. This is captured at 1440p with DLSS on quality. I personally think it's a subtle but effective use of ray tracing, as it makes the torched areas and water areas pop out. You get a nice contrast of dark dungeony type areas, and then the brighter areas with the dynamic shadowing to make it look that bit more immersive. But ray tracing and the way lighting is done is very much an opinion thing, so let me know what you think of it. Moving on to the main event though, the platforming. It's definitely hell. If you've watched me for a while now, you will know that one of my favourite games released in the past few years is Ghost Runner, which is a pretty tough game as it requires precision as well as speed to get your best times down. But I think Escape from Naraka is actually slightly ahead for difficulty purely because of the fact that to get through a level without taking any damage requires perfect precision, and on top of that, knowledge of the level and the collectibles within it. Not to mention mastery of the abilities in the game. The way Escape from Naraka scoring works is you can finish the level at your own speed. Collect what you want or don't, it's up to you. But you get more score for being quick, you get more score for collecting all the collectibles within the level, and you also get more score for taking less or no damage. Which in some of the levels, it's hard to do one or any of those, as the levels are designed so that if you want to get a good score, you put yourself in more danger as there are enemies around almost every corner or more obstacles to overcome. And just to show you a few of the enemies, you have golems that will constantly chase you, lion guys, I don't know their actual name, they will try to attack you but only when you look away, which leads to you getting very paranoid when you find them in a room. To a sort of witch woman called Mangali who teleports every few seconds and has multiple AoE attacks, which can do serious damage or even slow you down and disable your abilities, which when you are jumping across huge gaps in platforms, I can tell you it's a pain in the ass. And that's before we get to these big lads, but I'll leave those for you to find out for yourself. Moving on to the abilities, you have 3 abilities you gain throughout the levels. You have an ice attack, which you gain in the first level, which can be used on any enemy, as well as traps to either slow them down or stop them hurting you. As well as things like the platforms that drop down, using an ice attack on those will allow you to pass safely. It also has to be used to activate some doors and puzzles. The second ability is a dash. You can use this to cross gaps as well as speed up your times within levels. Quick tip that you might forget, you actually go further if you do a long dash mid-jump, so bear that in mind, it can help. The third and final ability you pick up later in the game is a slow mobility to help you past dangers that would usually be too quick. Though due to it slowing down everything, if there are some enemies you want to pass quickly, this could be the way to do it. I personally think having only these 3 abilities fits the game well. The devs could potentially add more, but then I think you would risk either the game being too easy, or you could end up where you have too much going on at once and having too many abilities to try and use at the same time. I've only had the game a few days and I've played around 12 hours and beaten the game twice, though mainly just to try and beat my scores. I still need to play it through and actually find all of the collectibles. In level 3 for example, I spent around 30 to 45 minutes trying to find where one of the artifacts is, and I genuinely cannot find it. I was using ice ball on the walls, pillars, doors, floors, trying to find if there was some secret wall, but it turns out nope, it's just very well hidden somewhere. I'll no doubt go back to it and find it somewhere really obvious and I've just missed it. But I do like that it challenges you to go explore and find them. If you do manage to get a good score, it may get you onto the leaderboard for that level, or even the entire game, as you get a final score for each full game that you play, which is another way to keep you coming back and a way to keep it interesting, as you can go back and try to beat either your score or other people's scores, which is very much what I did with Ghost Runner, and we all know how that ended. So it's pros and cons time. So first up, let's go with the pros. The atmosphere is great. When you stop to look around, you can appreciate the game design and notice all the little details in the game. The dynamic lighting and shadowing also helps to tie it together. The platforming is really fun. It's a bit brutal at times, but once you get used to the flow of it, you can try and push yourself to get higher scores. Abilities aren't overcomplicated. It doesn't give you 10 abilities to memorize, but the few you do get are meaningful and require some creativity to beat some areas of the game. Pricing so far sounds fair. The pricing's not being finalized as I'm writing this, but I've been told it will be around £14, which should be about $19, with a 10% discount on launch for a limited time. The length of the game. It isn't a super long game, but in a way that's actually to its credit. With some games that try and make the game longer than it needs to be, where you end up with multiple repeated sections, or just unnecessary time-wasting areas just to make it last that bit longer. This game does not do that. Each area and level has new ideas. Replayability. To follow on from the length, the way the game is done to be a challenge means you can always go back and try and improve on your scores. Sometimes it can be frustrating when you mess up a section and need to restart the entire level, but that's the point of improving. I've never not had any cons for a game, but I genuinely don't have any real complaints for this one. The only issue some people may have is that it could be too hard if they are new to platforming, as even someone who has played many platforming games, I found this to be a challenge in some areas, but I feel that's the same as what people had with Ghost Runner. Either you enjoy that challenge, or you don't. If you change the game, the likelihood is the people that liked it now won't enjoy it, and vice versa. Other than that one potential issue, I found 2 bugs while playing, one of which I reported and has already been fixed, which is this one where I fall through the pillar and die in the lava, and the second one will be fixed after launch, but they are aware of it and will make players aware. Long story short, don't use the slow mobility while touching an artifact, or there is a chance you won't pick it up, which I found out while flying through the air, so I had to restart the level. It's just unlucky I found out the hard way. Other than that, there's nothing to say that would be negative for the game. As I said at the start, it's a simple concept, which is a good thing, as it allows developers to be focused rather than trying to wear too many hats, and then your game ends up being a weird mishmash that has issues trying to achieve whatever it's trying to do. In terms of feedback for what could come next, maybe we could get a new game plus mode where you can use all of your abilities from the start. Or maybe add a few new levels over the next year, like challenge levels, where it puts you to the test with a mashup of everything you encounter over the game. It could be an interesting way to keep people coming back, if not to beat their old scores. I did ask one of the developers if they plan to add a level select mode, and he said they do want to add it, they just have to separate the score system to be level specific, otherwise it would affect the game score you get at the end. So that could be on the way if you want to practice specific levels, but no date for that being added as yet. So to sum up my experience with the game, I think it's a fun addition to the first-person platformer genre. It's different and pulls off a style not many will be able to pull off, and its challenge mixed with limited abilities and dangerous enemies are what make it worth playing. For the price point I've been told as of the weekend before release, I think is a fair price considering this game was made by a team of 3 people and the work put into it. Now about the giveaway I told you about, I will be giving away 2 keys for the game, and the draw will end 5 days after this video goes live, which will be Friday the 30th of July at 5 PM BST. The first key, you need to join my Discord, which I will link in the description and the pinned comment, and you need to go to the giveaway channel and click the checkbox reaction to sign up, and then tell me what you would want most in your personal heaven. For the second key, you need to follow me on Twitter and quote retweet this review video. tag Xelo Games and put the hashtag escape from Naraka and tell us what your own personal hell would have in it. 1 key for heaven, 1 key for hell. Just make sure your responses are safe for work, otherwise it will disqualify you, as I don't want to have to tweet out or Discord message something not safe for work. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enter the giveaway. I mean, who wouldn't? It's a free game, bit of a no-brainer, but I will see you for the next video.